Whether it's been a while or maybe you're picking up Final Fantasy Tactics for the first time with the Ivalice Chronicles, you've probably found this video because you realised or remembered, yeah, the game's pretty tough. And actually, getting a good start to building up your party is key in this game, because if you let things get out of control early on, then that's going to have a ripple effect and impact the rest of your playthrough. So today I'm going to explain the setup that I use to give a really healthy boost through Chapter 1, getting a great setup for what comes next in the game. But even if you don't agree with all of the job picks that I've chosen, stick with me, because throughout the video I will be littering in a few tips that are going to help regardless. So let's fire up Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles. Now, when you first start the game, you might want to set it to Squire difficulty, which is the easiest difficulty. This will give you a bit of a boost in the early game until you get some jobs set up. You can always switch difficulties later if you find Squire a little bit on the easy side, but honestly, this is a challenging game. And once you actually get into the game, you just want to go through the story and beat the first two story missions. The fights here are fairly formalities, although the second one can be a little bit more challenging, but you shouldn't have an issue with either of these. Completing these two missions will unlock the Outfitter and the Warriors Guild, both of which can be selected from any of the main town areas, and you'll also get access to the job system. The first thing you're going to want to do at this point is sort out your party roster for a better starting lineup, and you're going to need to spend some money here. You will be starting with about 10,000 gil, which should be more than enough for what you need to do. So have a look at your starting characters to see if they are already going to fit the bill. Don't worry about Ramza, he is a story character, so you are going to be keeping him anyway. But for your other party members, you are going to want to have a total of 4. For this setup, you want a male that has a high brave stat, another male that has a high brave stat, and 2 females both with high faith stats. So the way the game works, males work better as physical attackers, and females tend to work better as magic casters. So if you already have some characters in your party that the game gave you that fit these requirements, then you'll be able to save some money. But from the town, if you head into the Warriors Guild, you'll be able to fill out your roster with another collection of characters you can purchase. So meeting those requirements that I mentioned, so 2 males with high brave, 2 females with high faith, make sure you purchase so that you can fill out your roster. And if you don't have any characters showing up in the Warriors Guild that meet the requirements, then you can actually close this and head back to the main world map, and then go back to the Warriors Guild, and it should reset the options. And to clarify, for high brave / high faith stat, I recommend at least 65, but if you can get to 70, then even better. Next up, head to the Outfitters shop, and you should be able to see items to purchase. Make sure you have a healthy supply of potions and a few Phoenix Downs as well. We are going to pretty much be spamming potions at the start of the game, as that is going to be our main source of healing. So yeah, don't wimp out on getting a good number of those. With the right selection of characters, make sure on the party screen you have them organised so that they are easily accessible when you enter each battle. Now, this next step is really important, because Final Fantasy Tactics does utilise level scaling, which means that the average level of enemies that you encounter in random fights, and also monsters in story fights, their level will be based on your character's highest party member level. Now, your highest level party member will usually be Ramza, and if it is, and let's say for example he is level 18, then the average level of the enemies that you fight is also going to be level 18. And this is based on your entire roster, so not just those that are in the active party. Which means grinding in this game is a bit of a double-edged sword. You do want to gain job points so that you can learn new abilities, but you don't really want to be gaining much experience. Unfortunately, there's no real way to stop that. Every action you perform in the battlefield, as long as it actually achieves something like heals a character or does damage to an enemy, then that is going to give you experience and job points for the character that performed it. And even though, at least I don't know of a way to prevent experience gain, you can sort of mitigate that by increasing the amount of job points that you get. And you do this by first and foremost learning the JP boost ability. So this is a Squire ability. So the first thing you want to do now, once you've got your roster set up, is make sure that they are all set to Squire and can gain 250 JP job points in order to learn that job boost ability. That is going to be the priority. Get the JP boost learned on every character and get it equipped. This will mean you're learning abilities at a faster rate than you are gaining experience and levelling up, thus creating a bit more of a power disparity between you and your foes. You can spend a little bit of time farming the Mandalore Plains if needed. I recommend doing so for a few rounds, again just to get JP boost at the very least and get that equipped. Once you've done that, then switch everybody over to the Chemist job. And the reason you want to do this is to get a number of abilities that are going to help you so much for the rest of the chapter. At a bare minimum, make sure everybody learns at least Potion, Ether and Phoenix Down. 3 useful items to be able to cast mid-battle. Now, the next one is optional, but I would highly recommend it. It's a little bit expensive at 400 JP, so the strategy would be to get your chemists to learn and then equip Auto Potion. Make sure you go into each battle having purchased a stock of potions from the shop, and hopefully you won't have to worry about healing at all, as the game will take care of it for you. If you struggle to win battles with 5 chemists, then just use 2 or 3 to follow this strategy to start with, whilst the rest of the party levels up their other jobs, and then once the first couple get the Auto Potion ability, switch around to the other party members until they learn it as well. And now we're going to start switching jobs up a little bit. So for Ramza, once he's got his Chemist abilities, switch him back to Squire. We're just going to leave him learning Squire abilities for the remainder of the chapter. For the other 2 male characters and your second female character, make sure you switch them over to the Knight class. And for your other female character, make sure you start training them as a Black Mage. And you want to get all 3 Knights to job level 3. And also the Black Mage to job level 3. And just to clarify, that is the job levels, not the character levels. Of course, we're trying to keep those as low as possible. In terms of abilities for these jobs, make sure your Knights focus on unlocking the enemy breaks for weapon, speed and power. That is going to help you a lot in combat. And for your Black Mage, just unlock the damaging spells, Fire, Blizzard, Thunder. In these early fights, the Black Mage is going to be pulling a lot of the weight and doing so much damage, destroying the enemy team. Just remember, in Final Fantasy Tactics, when spells are cast, that characters, whether friendly or foe, are on adjacent tiles, they may be caught up in those spell effects too. So folks, I hope you are enjoying the video so far and that it's been helpful to you, giving you that good early boost in FF Tactics. And if you do like my content, then consider signing up as a channel member. When you do so, you will be granted early access to much of my long form video content going forward. But for now, let's continue on with our starter setup. Now, a bit of a, I suppose, cheesy way of farming for JP is if in combat you can kill all the enemies bar 1 and gather your party members up together, and they simply need to use their turns to attack one another. As long as you've got a relatively weak enemy that's left on the battlefield to keep the battle going, they're not going to be an inconvenience, and your Auto Potion ability will take care of healing even from self-friendly damage. This will allow you to mass up huge amounts of JP from a single battle encounter. One little tip before we proceed: if you want to sort out your character's equipment, then when you head over to the Outfitters, choose the Fitters option. It's at the bottom of the list here, and this will allow you to just specifically see equipment that's going to benefit your characters with their current job roles. Make sure for your casters such as Black Mage that you do try and boost up their MP, as that will give you more casts in the battles. Once your Black Mage is level 3 and has a nice selection of damaging spells, switch them over to the Time Mage job. Prioritise learning Haste then Slow in that order, and make sure you give them the Black Magic secondary ability so that even whilst they are learning Time Mage, they can still cast the damaging spells in fights. Now let's go back to the 2 male characters that should have learned Knight level 3. Make sure the first one now switches over to the Monk job and start leveling that up, and prioritise learning Cyclone, which is a powerful but cheap AoE ability, and then start learning Chakra. This ability will take a few more job points, but it's really useful to have as it gives nice healing and MP restoration. Keep the other male character in the Knight job. And for the other female character that has learned Knight level 3, you can now switch them over to learning the White Mage job. Unsurprisingly, White Mage will be a great source of healing in these encounters, and you want to focus on learning Cure, Protect, Shell and raise, probably in that order. Once your white mage has those 4 abilities, switch her over to the monk class and she can learn Cyclone and Chakra, and then she can switch back to white mage whilst having the monk abilities as her secondary casts. Likewise, your male monk who has learned those 2 monk abilities can temporarily switch over to white mage in order to learn those 4 healing abilities before switching back over to monk, having the white mage as secondary abilities. And now we should have our final lineup for Chapter 1, and this should give you a good starting point to go into Chapter 2. So at this point, you should have Ramza, who is your dedicated squire. Your first of 2 recruited male characters, who is your monk, primarily with white mage backup. Your second recruited male character, who is a dedicated knight, great for tanking and utility, and for reducing the prowess of enemies on the field. Your first female recruited character with a high faith stat is your time mage with black mage magic backup. And your second female character will be a fantastic white mage healer with powerful monk secondary abilities. Hopefully you are still using auto potion as well, and remembering to stock up on potions in between fights, so you should have a bit of a powerhouse of a team at this point. The next thing I would recommend is to start working towards learning the ninja job, one of the most powerful jobs in Final Fantasy Tactics. But we'll leave that for another video, since I don't want to get too ahead of the fact that this is just an early starting guide. So if you follow the strategy that I've put together here, then hopefully that will give you that good early game boost that you need in order to continue on with your progression. But if you want to try some different job combinations and think they work well, then do share those down in the comments as well. I'd be really interested in hearing about them. But have a great day, don't forget to stick around for more FF Tactics content, and I'll catch you next time.